Hi, it's October now, but this video looks back at the summer when I made this painting you're about to see, and it's just about the place that inspired it. It's up on the top of the Castlreagh Hills with wide open views over Belfast City and Belfast Lough. You can see everything from up there. The yellow cranes of Harland and Wolff shipyard where the Titanic was built. The cave hill in the distance is said to have inspired Jonathan Swift to write Gulliver's Travels, because the profile of the hill looks like the profile of a sleeping giant. The giant was nicknamed Napoleon because the nose part resembles Napoleon Bonaparte's famous nose. And so if you don't know, a rath is a ring fort, and they have been used from the 6th century to the 9th century. This one is at Lisnabreeny. I love painting trees and I love history, especially local history. And I feel there's a real tangible sense of times past when in the presence of old, mature trees. And that fires my imagination. I chose this view because I liked how the dappled sunlight filtered through the trees onto the path, and that appealed to me. And I liked the way the field in the background was glowing yellow in the sunshine, and how there were multiple trees in the one view. So I was thinking along those lines when I made the sketch, a rough sketch, using paint pens. I began on the canvas by blocking in with colour. I use acrylic paint, and I used a palette knife at this stage. Then I plotted the position of the path and where the trees were to go. Next, I introduced the dapple sunlight shapes on the path and on the trees and in the grasses, as well as the areas of shade. I used a palette knife for the majority of this painting because I was aiming for a loose effect in the foliage and grasses, and it was very effective at mixing the paint directly on the canvas. I did use a paintbrush in other areas, such as the path and on the sunlight patches on the tree trunks. This bit's really speeded up. I actually paint quite slowly. I don't paint every day, but perhaps 1 or 2 times a week on average. As my painting studio's in our back garden, I can easily nip out there as and when I feel like it. I like to check my tonal values by first photographing the painting in outdoor light, and then by changing the result on the iPhone using one of their filters. I find it helpful, and the aim is to have a variety of tonal values. So after many adjustments and tweaking the path and adding some finer details in the grass and a suggestion of a barbed wire fence, that was the painting finished. But then I've decided to take the finished painting back up to the trees for a final photo. Then reading the information board again, I noticed that Lisnabreeny townland got its name way back centuries ago, when the Irish Gaelic was the main language spoken in all of Ireland. I can't speak Irish, but it translates as Lisnabreeny, meaning Fort of the Fairy Palace. So what have fairies got to do with here? This comes from the belief in the existence of the wee folk, not to be confused with the Disney type of fairy like Tinkerbell. The belief is that the remains of those ancient ring forts are enchanted and have become gateways to the fairy kingdom. It is considered very unwise to interfere or disturb a fairy home for fear of terrible consequences. So as a result, people traditionally left these sites alone, and that's probably why so many remain in the landscape. A solitary hawthorn, a blackthorn or an ash tree is another believed to be fairy home. So that's what I decided to title the painting, Fort of the Fairy Palace. Thanks for watching.